Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann. This is Football and Nonsense. It's good to see you. Glad to have you. And it's been quite the stretch of time since the last time we spoke. I'm happy to be back. Like I said, there was only going to be one episode last week. No best of. I'll save those for when I really need a vacation. But I just kind of wanted to leave you all with a little, snippet, an appetizer, if you will, before Thanksgiving, and then let you enjoy the family festivities. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Mine was, I guess, as well as could be expected. Not too extravagant, but not, sitting there doing nothing alone by myself. Either way, though, whatever it is that you do for Thanksgiving, hopefully you keep those traditions alive. I find myself, you see commercials and people sharing photos and videos of all the stuff that they do during Thanksgiving, and you're just like, man, I'd love to have that. And my family, it works a little differently when it comes to the holidays. We alternate, and I feel like a lot of families do, but at the same time, it really just depends on your particular family situation and how far you live from everybody. So my aunt and uncle that live over in Seattle, they come over here for Christmas every other year. They'll stay over there for the year in between, and then Thanksgiving, it's the same thing, just the opposite. And then, my sister and her husband and their 4 kids, they tend to do their own thing on Thanksgiving because that's a family in itself. But they'll usually spend that holiday with his side of the family. So that kind of leaves me and my parents, here for Thanksgiving. And then Christmas, we do the 2-family thing. My wife and I will go 2 hours south to Tri-Cities and then come back up for my side of the family's thing here. But we haven't established our own thing. And I'm not saying that that's a huge problem. It's just, you see the commercials, everybody's outside playing football on Thanksgiving, and there's this giant table and there's 10 people seated at it. That's not how it is. It wasn't how it was this year with my family, and that's fine. I just hope that, we can start to make some traditions that we keep, regardless of what it is, and that we can always have a good time and something to look forward to each and every year. So hope that you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope that it was everything that you wanted and needed it to be. If you Black Friday, good for you. I don't Black Friday. I Cyber Monday, but I don't Black Friday. I just very anti the Black Friday. Tonight's show is a good one, though. We do have Craig the Leg coming up later on. It's been the first time for him to be on the show. And it's something that was in the works for him. I'm not sure what happened the last time. I think that we were going to try to get him on the show, and then it just didn't work out that way. And so we were going to reschedule and never got around to it. And so here we are. Craig the Leg is going to be joining me at about 20 after the hour. But hey, let's go ahead and get to those headlines, shall we? And the headlines are that there have been some quarterback changes around the NFL. In case you missed it, Geno Smith will get the start for the New York Giants this Sunday, ending Eli Manning's start streak at 210. He will fall 87 shy of Brett Favre's record. If it was 4 or 5 shy, because that's how many weeks there are roughly in the NFL left, I could see might as well finish it out, tie the record, get it. But when you're that far shy, it doesn't really matter. But this is a very interesting move, just because I didn't see this one coming. I really didn't. It's a move that I guess if you've been eliminated from the playoffs, which mathematically we reached that point last week, the Giants, the Browns, and yes, even my 49ers have reached the point of no return. They will not be playoff eligible this year. So for the Giants, I mean, I guess, are you preserving what you could potentially trade in the offseason in Eli Manning. There's a lot of talk about Eli to the Jaguars. That was the talk before the trade deadline, so it's been going on for a while. The Jaguars are good quarterback play from being a legitimate Super Bowl contender, not just a playoff contender, but a Super Bowl contender. We'll talk about them in a little bit. So Geno Smith, the almost journeyman who spent quite a bit of time for the other New York team, the Jets, will now get his start for the first time this season with the New York Giants. I don't think that this is really going to do anything for their season. I don't think it's as bad as a move as the Tyrod Taylor benching in favor of Nathan Peterman, but the rumor right now is that Eli was asked if he wanted to start. He was given the option and he declined. But, yeah, I mean, if you're a Giants fan, I don't know how you feel about this. When this is the week after you've been eliminated from playoff contention, can you really be that upset about it? I mean, what left do you have to play for except for making sure that the guys that are going to be key players on the roster next year make it to next year? You don't want to have a meaningless injury in a game that at this point doesn't mean anything except for pride, and even that can be sort of, loosely defined. But it is what it is, and the Giants are going to do whatever they want to do right now. That is start Geno Smith. In other quarterback news, though, the Jimmy Garoppolo era has and will officially begin. That's right. Give it up for Jimmy G and the 49ers. So Jimmy G got a rather unceremonious start this last weekend. C.J. Beathard, man, props to him. Guy is tough as nails. He got beat up and down the field for like the last 3 starts that he's been in, of the 5 that he's started. And they won against the Giants. Then they had their bye week, and he came out. And, man, it was a great first half of football. First half and then like 2 minutes of football for the 49ers. The first throw, the first play on offense by the Seahawks, pass from Russell Wilson was intercepted. And then 49ers did a 3-and-out. That's okay. I wish more would have happened. Seahawks got the ball back again, drove further down the field. No interceptions this time. Had to settle for a field goal. Try was missed. Color me shocked, Blair Walsh. And then it was they got a touchdown on a short field because they picked off C.J. Beathard. And it was a weird interception, too. Nothing that C.J. Beathard did at all, but it will count as an interception because it was stripped away before the receiver was down by contact. And it was an odd play, great defensive play if you're a guy that likes defense, that's playing whistle to whistle and making sure that he's giving his team every opportunity, and that's what Seattle defense does. So they got a short field, touchdown, and then 49ers would get a field goal, and then they would hold the Seahawks, and then they would get another field goal. So it was like 7-6 at halftime, and that was great. It really was. I would have liked a touchdown, but hey. Then they come in and they get they drive down the field. They get another field goal, or then it was 7-6. So it was 7-3 going into the half, and it was 7-6 to start the second half. Then Seattle went and got a touchdown, another touchdown, and decided to beat up on C.J. Beathard all game. So much so that they put him into the ground so hard he got up. He limped off the field under his own power, but limping very noticeably nonetheless. You have less than a minute to go, and you are within the red zone. Enter Jimmy G. His first play was a 10-yard run for the first down, and then his second play was a pass completion, but it was, I think, false start or offsides on the offense. So that one didn't count, but then his second one, his official second one, first pass of the game, was a touchdown pass. Oh my goodness, hallelujah, amen. The Jimmy G era has begun. He will start this Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Sunday is 2 days after my birthday, so it is my birthday game that I get, every year during the NFL season. It's kind of one of the nice bonuses to being a December baby is that you get a birthday during an important month of football. Of course, for the 49ers, it hasn't meant much the last few years, but still, you can count on there being a game during the week of your birthday, unless they, for whatever reason, have a bye week, which thankfully that hasn't happened. But man, I would love to be in Chicago for this game this week. And the official debut of Jimmy Garoppolo at Soldier Field, very much a winnable game for San Francisco. Won't count my chickens though, but I'm just saying it's something that I would definitely, if somebody wanted to gift me tickets to this game, I would happily accept. I really would, or to be media for this game. But nonetheless, I will be watching from home, but this is my birthday week, so we're trying to make the best week possible here on the show. So hopefully, if you follow me on Twitter, which most of you do, and if you don't, you should, you saw that I invited Pat McAfee to be on the show. He accepted. We're trying to work out the details, so hopefully we can make that happen tomorrow or Thursday. Erin Coscarelli, the lovely and talented Erin Coscarelli from NFL Blitz, her and Mark Istuk possibly making appearances on the show. Love those guys, so I invited them. Told them, hey, let's do this. Let's see if we can make this happen. But nothing's ever a guarantee. Nothing's a for sure thing. But we just try to do the best with what we've got here on the Fan Show. In other NFL news, I strike three. I'm out for my fantasy Survivor pick'em, which is the NFL.com's version of the Eliminator pool that you can do on ESPN. I don't think you get lifes on the ESPN one. You get three. So like I said, 3 strikes and you're out. And the first strike that I got was the Patriots losing to the Panthers. That one that still stings. Then I picked the Chiefs over the Giants. And then this last week I picked the Jaguars over the Cardinals. I mean, I picked against the Browns 4 times this season. Got every single one of those right. But I didn't want to keep going back to picking against the Browns because, especially this week, they possibly could have beat Cincinnati. It was too close for comfort. But for the Chiefs to not be able to beat the Giants 2 weeks ago, and then now for the Jaguars to come up a Phil Dawson field goal, longest of his career in Arizona, that one stings too. So I'm out of the Survivor pick'em. I'm still doing my week-to-week pick'em, and of course my fan versus fan show pick'em, which I'm doing terrible at. But speaking of doing terrible, Jason Garrett, people are wondering how he is still employed, how he is still an NFL coach. And we've talked a lot on the show this season about Mike McCarthy, and probably the bigger question is Jason Garrett. He does not have the resume that Mike McCarthy does. In fact, the Packers, Brett Hundley, and the whole crew should be very proud of the way that they played the Steelers. Now, they still lost, but it was a last-second field goal as time expired by Boswell to get the Steelers the win. But the fact that it came down to that, 27-24 was your final score there in Heinz Field. I just, McCarthy can do a lot wrong, and he gets bailed out by Aaron Rodgers a lot, but I'd rather have him than Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett has had more than 9 lives with the Dallas Cowboys, and I know that Jerry Jones is very much a traditionalist in the sense that, they never made a quarterback change with Tony Romo when he was healthy because he's this guy that, once you have your guy, he's your guy. And that's my feeling about him with Jason Garrett. Until they do absolutely miserable one season, I don't think that Jerry Jones is going to fire or replace Jason Garrett. He did it to Wade Phillips, which was odd, but Jason Garrett actually played for the Cowboys, so there was a bit of, Homer right there. But, man, Jason Garrett, I would not want him as my head coach. His coaching decisions are just atrocious. They really are. He got so lucky those 2 seasons because he had 100% full, healthy rosters that took him deep into the playoffs. Well, the Tony Romo year took him further than the Dak Zeke year. Still, you got to wonder what keeps a guy like that around. Now, I'm not saying that I'd rather have Ben McAdoo over Jason Garrett. I'm just saying that when it comes to the decisions on who you keep and who you let go of, Jason Garrett should have been gone a few seasons ago. It really should have. We'll see what happens in Dallas. As far as the rest of the NFL, what we had from this last week. So the 49ers lost to the Seahawks for the ninth straight time, but the Jimmy Garoppolo era looks very promising. The fact that Jimmy Garoppolo's first touchdown of his 49ers career was against the Seahawks, which those don't come very often if you're up to date on your current Niner history against Seattle. Those don't come very often. So it was garbage time, but man, it was worth every second of it. I feel like that's a sign of things to come. I really do. So we'll get to see his first full game against Chicago this weekend. Vikings against Detroit. That was a great Thanksgiving matchup. Vikings pull out the win there on the road. Very tough team, the Vikings are, but you wonder just how tough they are. I think the three biggest question marks in the NFC right now are the Vikings, the Saints, and the Rams, which the Saints and the Rams faced off in L.A. this last weekend to the final score of 26-20 L.A. Alvin Kamara apparently is the new candidate for Rookie of the Year. I don't understand why Leonard Fournette has been more consistent for the Jaguars than Kamara has for the Saints, and I know that they have Ingram on that team too. So it doesn't scream Rookie of the Year because he had one really good game. Now he's had back-to-back great games as far as what he is, and that's a Swiss Army knife on the field out of the backfield. But he hasn't done enough from week one till now to merit my vote for Rookie of the Year. That would be Leonard Fournette. So you have the Rams that held the 7 points against the Vikings 2 weeks ago. Then the Vikings beat the Lions by 7 points. And then you have the Rams beat the Saints by 6 points. Now, there was a questionable call towards the end of the game. What should have been a touchdown was not. They would eventually get the touchdown, but they settled for a field goal before then. That would come back to bite the Saints later on in the game. So, oh man, this Saints defense, I feel like it's the real deal. I feel like the Rams offense is the real deal. I know that the Minnesota defense is the real deal, but I wonder sometimes about the Minnesota offense. So those are the three question marks in the NFC right now, because obviously the only one that doesn't have a question mark around it is the Philadelphia Eagles, who won to the tune of 31-3 this last weekend, against the Chicago Bears. So they're rolling hot. They are 10-1 now. They can clinch the NFC East if they win this weekend. Early. That is very early. It's very good for them. And I can't help but just wonder, who is the second best team in the NFC? Does it matter? I don't know. But I think you have to look at both sides of the ball for all three of those teams. I think all three are very real, and you'd hate to have one of them catch themselves on a bad day. You want these guys to come out 110% and give you a really good showing. And I'm not saying that happened to the Saints. Their offense did not kick it into gear until the second half of that game, late in the second half. So how real is the Rams defense? How real is the Saints defense? How real is the Rams offense? And then how real is the Minnesota offense? But you've got three great defenses there, I think, and it's going to be something that we'll have to observe the next couple of weeks. We've got great matchups coming up this next week, and we'll go over that on Thursday's episode. Carolina beat the Jets. They hung on to beat them. The Falcons beat the Buccaneers, so the Falcons still in the playoff picture as a wild card right now. The Rams still a full game ahead of the Seahawks. Seahawks are on the outside looking in right now. In fact, your playoff picture after this last weekend is in the AFC, the number 1 and number 2 seeds, Pittsburgh and New England. Then you have 3, 4, 5, and 6 are Tennessee, Kansas City, Jacksonville, Baltimore. On the outside looking in is Buffalo, who just beat Kansas City this last week. I don't know what's wrong with the Chiefs. I really don't. It's mind-boggling to me. The Bengals still have a chance. LA and even Oakland still have a chance because the Chiefs have lost 5 of their last 6 games. That is absolutely crazy. On the NFC side, the lead is the Eagles at 10-1, and then the number 2 seed is the Minnesota Vikings at 9-2, and then your 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the LA Rams 8-3, New Orleans 8-3, Carolina 8-3, Atlanta 7-4. On the outside looking in, of course, is Seattle 7-4, Detroit 6-5, and even Green Bay 5-6. They're supposed to get Aaron Rodgers back in the next couple of weeks. I hope it's not too late for them. That would be quite the story of the 2017 NFL season, wouldn't it? So that was pretty much your Week 12, your Thanksgiving. The Chargers manhandled the Cowboys, so that was always fun to watch. The primetime game, Redskins and Giants, really not all that entertaining. But the rest of the games, Titans came back to beat the Colts. I was a little concerned there. Bengals would hold off the Browns, surprising there. And then there was a fight between Aqib Talib and Michael Crabtree over a chain again. And I believe I have the solution for this, and that is a chain on a pole match. Yes, it's a real thing. It happened in NXT that I've been binge watching on the WWE network. So let's just have them settle it WWE style. With all the terrible booking that WWE has done lately, I feel like this is right up their alley. So WWE, make it happen. That's going to do it for headlines. So I'm going to go ahead and get my guest Craig the Leg Peterson on, and we are going to talk some NFL football, catch up a little bit, and talk some football and nonsense. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more of the Fan Show after this.
This is The Sheet.
Gets me all revved up. My face is now red. My ears are just freaking boiling.
He's so raw. That Sky hates him.
Yeah, he had 51 touchdowns. 4,900 total yards.
I know y'all like that, but I got to run. And only in Alabama that could happen, I have to say.
They're so good, man. They would win the Big Ten if they were in the Big Ten. You could be doing something vision-based in front of you and reach down and grab a handful of insane goodness.
Give it to him. Kudos. I'm clapping like a golfer. Very good, Johnny. I'm proud of you.
Wow. You guys agree on something again? I'm very impressed. You ever had a bad week? Just you walk outside, step in a puddle, like right when you walk outside. I mean, how's a puddle right outside the house? Or you stand on the curb and somebody drives by and splashes water up on you? Or it's just raining on you, not anyone else?
I will tell you, before you go any further, I cannot hear Chad when he speaks.
Good. Here, listen to the sheet, man. I don't really know what we're doing.
Every Saturday morning, 8 to 10 a.m. right here on WBLZ Sports.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the electrical contractor for you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
This is Nick Ciccarelli, the mad scientist of sports. Join me and Dr. D, Derek Jones, live every Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Pacific, for the Mad Scientist Sports Lab. The big intellect, the experiments on the chalkboard, and the guest subjects will be rolling in. Mad Scientist Sports Lab, only on WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. He has over 30 years of painting experience. He's interior, exterior, commercial or residential. Doug Peffer covers it all. Is your house looking ugh? We'll call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports and get a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. 404-966-3361.
Check out Thursday Night Tailgate, where NFL legends live on. We bring you 5 NFL legends every week, sharing their stories and insights, plus our spotlight on the positive. Hear which players are doing great things in their communities. Now on WBLZ Sports Talk Radio and WBLZSports.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and if you follow me on Twitter, which you should, then you've seen my relentless shout-outs to my man Craig the Leg whenever there's a kicker in the NFL that misses a field goal, which seems to happen a lot these days, but welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Good, Rich. Thanks for having me on, bud.
Hey, it's always a pleasure, man. Now, of course, I promised you at the beginning of the season, I said every time I see a missed field goal, I'm going to tweet at that team and tag you and hope that they wise up. And Seattle, man, they're killing me here. I mean, I'm not even a Seahawks fan, but it's just like I don't know how you can hang on to this guy for so long. But let me just ask you the question of all questions, because clearly fans see it differently than players. Now, you're a kicker. You've played at a professional level. When you see a guy miss a field goal, miss a chip shot, a miss 3 in a row, like whatever the case is, and you're watching from home, is it you're thinking, it's a tough gig and we all go through it, or is it, get this guy out of there, I could do better? Like, what's your thought on it when it happens?
Well, first of all, I got to start off by saying you have been true to your word. You have not missed a tweet out there that someone misses the field goal. I have to say, you've been spot on with that. But besides that, to answer your question, it's tough, as a kicker, and it is different from a fan's perspective, and some fans just don't understand. But you're going to miss kicks. You're not going to make all of them. And with that being said, you're going to be put in, certain game situations where you can go for, a game winner. You're going to have a chance to tie the game at the end of the game, like Walsh did in Seattle. And, you saw like a yard short, two yards short. But you're going to miss kicks, but you can't miss those kicks. Those are the kicks you got to make. He missed 3 field goals in one game. That's a tough game. You're going to miss field goals, but when you're missing like that as a kicker and you see that, it's tough to just kind of hang your head and you're sitting there watching when, you feel like you deserve to be out there. But, it's all, it's a tough draw sometimes, and you just have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and keep working as hard as you possibly can to get to that level that they're at. Obviously for some guys it's different than others because, you either went to a Division I school, 2, 3 school, whatever. Some guys didn't play, football in college like myself. So the road is a little bit harder and tougher, and you're going to face a little bit more obstacles. But, it doesn't mean that you give up. You just keep working harder.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like I said, a fan's perspective is always different than somebody that's actually been there and done that. And I remember the game that Walsh missed those 3 in the first half. Seattle lost by 3 points. And so I remember saying, 0 for 3. If he would have been 1 for 3, he could have tied the game. 2 for 3, they possibly could have won the game. Now, we don't expect you as kickers to be perfect, even though there are some people that have a very high standard for what a kicker is. But that aside, I don't expect you to be perfect. I just expect a kicker to not suck, which sometimes it seems like Blair Walsh just blatantly sucks. And I know guys like you out there that have tried out and demonstrated in front of NFL teams. So when you're at home and you see a guy miss consistently, like, the topic being Blair Walsh right now, do you have a list of contacts that you hit up that's just like, dude, get me in there, like I can do this? Or like, what do you have to wait for that call? Like what's sort of the motion of events that happens?
Well, there's a process that you go through, and you have to be pretty close with your agent. And I am for the most part. Brett Jones is my agent, and he has a list of contacts that he gets a hold of and sends out my film. And every time I come out with new film, after I make it, I give it to him. He sends it out to his list, and then when we hear back, we hear back. And the trouble with me is the no college experience. That always comes back to haunt me in the long run, and it has for pretty much my whole professional career. When I started with the Ottawa Red Blacks, I got a chance to come into training camp after I did really well at an open tryout. And after that, it kind of just, my career blossomed, and I had a chance with the Tampa Bay Storm. I did well there, and I was there for 2 years, and then Spokane picked me up, and then this year I was with the Hamilton Tiger Cats in training camp. So with that being said, you just kind of have to keep going at it and keep sending film out. Your agent's going to have that list of contacts, but it's all up to the GMs, the owners, the head coaches. That's more of an administration, job for them to do, to bring in who they're going to bring in. So it's for me, it's more, do they want to take a chance on a guy, who hasn't been playing outside? Or are they going to take a chance on a guy, that's played Division I football for 4 years, and he's been, in several training camps? Here's the thing, just to touch on that real quick. A perfect example of that, which happened last year, is Roberto Aguayo.
I was just going to bring him up.
Now, the reason I say that is because it's relevant to my situation, not because I went to a Division I school, because I didn't. Like I said, I didn't play college football. But Roberto Aguayo played college football at a Division I school. Florida State's a powerhouse. And he did tremendous, phenomenal. One of the best kickers coming out of college of all time. And, he got many opportunities to kick in the NFL based on his college career, right?
Yeah.
He's drafted in the second round, and he plays 1 year in the NFL, and honestly, I don't know if we'll ever see him back in the NFL again.
Yeah, and it's
my personal opinion.
It's a lot of pressure to put on a kid because that's what they are, and for them to take him as early as they did, that's even more pressure. But you think about the NFL, the world of sports in general has so many heartwarming stories about the guys that didn't get their chance and then they finally did, and their path was the one less taken, and they went on to do big things. I mean, everybody knows Tom Brady was such a late draft pick, and look how well he's done. And we appreciate those stories more and more because of how few and far they happen. I mean, Adam Thielen was an undrafted guy out of college, and look at how well he's performing on the Minnesota offense right now. But I feel like there's fewer stories of guys that went through the motions that they say you're supposed to go through and come out to be successful than there are of the guys that all they needed was to be given a chance. Because if I was in your shoes, and if I had tried out for Seattle, for example, and I see Blair Walsh miss 3, if I had even the equipment guy's number in my phone, I would have sent a text that's just like, really? Like, this is the guy that you went with over me? And to your point, for a guy that comes out of college like a Roberto Aguayo, and they want to give the chance, they want to sign the contract for the guy that has the experience in a certain environment as opposed to a guy like you who's played a lot of the indoor game, I'm thinking, okay, one, it's the kicking position, and two, like, what do you really have to lose if you're already losing games than to take a chance on a guy that, could be the difference maker? You guys play inside, yes, but at the same time, you're kicking through uprights that are, half the width of pro NFL uprights? That's got to say something.
That's correct. It's 9 feet compared to 18. It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. Yeah, it blows my mind.
Yeah, no, well, you're right, and just to touch on that, that's the life of a GM, though. Are you going to be that GM that takes a chance on a guy who's never done it before, essentially, or let's just say he messes up. You take a chance on the guy, he messes up. Whose fault is that? That's the GM's fault because they picked that guy. Now, if you pick that Roberto Aguayo and he messes up, essentially it's on the kicker, right? So it's not going to look as bad on a GM for taking someone that should be good and should do well and strive in the league because he was so good in college. It's going to look even worse if a GM or owner or whatever picks a guy who's not known, who hasn't done it before. So I understand that. I get it. Life is a game of politics, and it's not just professional sports, it's life in general. But there's got to be a point where the guys do get chances, and, it blows my mind, because there's guys out there, and, you want to be that guy that gets that opportunity, gets that chance to go in there in that preseason game and prove yourself to the world that you can do it. And sometimes people don't get those chances, and it's frustrating, because you work your butt off and you're in the gym and you're on the field and you're doing everything that you possibly can to be the best, and sometimes you never get that chance. And we're hoping someday that people like me that didn't play college football are able to get that chance eventually. So,
and of
it's
course,
just a matter of time.
Of course, people know my opinions on the relationship between college football and pro football. I feel like there needs to be some type of separation there because, one, the college football just, to me, has too much power, more power than it needs as far as, its control over the NFL, because there's such a focus on who this guy is going to be. And when you put so much pressure onto someone, and if they don't succeed right away, they're considered a bust. But the games are completely different. Jared Goff had never taken a snap under center until he got to the NFL. And to me, that's mind-blowing. And so I just kind of wish that there was less put into the basket of, did you play college ball, and oh yeah, where did you play college ball at, than there is, because there's so much talent out there that you never get to see because it never gets a chance, because there's this unwritten rule of steps that you take in order to get where you need to go, and that's not true.
Right, I agree.
So for you, what's the next step for you? Am I going to see you in the indoor game next season, or are you going to go back to Canada? Like, what's next for Craig the Leg?
What's next for Craig the Leg? Well, listen, right now I've been talking to Coach Shaq, and we're trying to get a contract set up. I guess he's going to be with Nebraska, so it's more of a backup plan right now. The danger is in the IFL, obviously. But I'm sure you've heard, as everyone else, there's a new team in the AFL with Albany. Now, they haven't come up with a team name yet, but I'm hoping it's Albany Empire. It just makes the most sense, but that's just my opinion. But I'm from Albany, born and raised, and I would love to play in front of the home crowd, for the AFL and for the Albany. Like I said, hopefully it's Albany Empire, but for the Albany team, that would be ideal for me. That would be a great atmosphere for me to be in, play in front of my family, friends, the hometown, home crowd, the whole nine. So that would be great. But besides that, right now I just got some combines lined up, some CFL workouts going on, and I'm just getting prepared. I moved back down to Tampa, and I'm getting ready, man. I'm stoked. It's time to keep the grind on and make sure I'm ready for anything that comes my way.
I got to admit, though, you're one of the more entertaining guys that I know from the indoor game, because today there was a Facebook post by Keith, and he had tagged 3 individuals. You were not one of them, and you were not happy about that. Yeah, you were just like, I don't know why you take these 3 guys when I can take all of them.
Yeah, I love those guys. Those guys are like family to me, and they're just as fast and they're just as strong as I am. I love joking around with them. I'm gonna miss those guys from Spokane, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know that we're going to miss you guys and miss football here. I feel it's like something that we didn't quite appreciate, or maybe we did, and the whole name change was just too much for us. But, it's going to be an odd season. Of course, I'm going to get my fill of, the indoor game as I go out and make my stops in Arizona, hopefully, Boston, Mass, because Nick Hague gets to play in front of his hometown this season with the Pirates, and Jacksonville to visit Robert Brown and check out the Sharks and everything. But the AFL, I want to see their schedule, and I know a few players from the IFL-CIF that are going to that level of play, and we'll see if I can make a few stops there. So be sure to, keep me posted and let me know what's going on. I'll keep tweeting at all the teams every time somebody misses, because it's in all honesty, it's been just too damn fun. I mean, the Seahawks, it's just like low-hanging fruit at this point.
You got to have fun with it, though, right?
Oh, yeah, you got to have fun with it.
You got to.
It's just, when they play my team, the 49ers, and their first, field goal attempt is I'm like, oh, watch this one, and then he misses it, and I'm just like, do I really got to say it, Seahawks? Come on, you know the guy. Give him a call. But, Craig, it's been great to talk to you. I'm sorry that it wasn't under better circumstances. The first time that you were supposed to be on the show was to celebrate you, getting into the CFL, but, politics, which, hey, I'm no stranger to. Politics are BS in my work, too, especially the media. If you don't have certain credential background, they don't want really anything to do with you. So I understand and acknowledge the struggle, but together maybe we can achieve great things. And you were a great person to start off my birthday week, which will be Friday on the show here. So I thank you for taking some time to, laugh a little and talk some football.
Of course. Well, thanks for having me on, and happy early birthday.
I appreciate it, man. You take care of yourself. We'll talk again soon.
I appreciate it, bud.
That was Craig the Leg Peterson from the Spokane Empire, the CFL, all over the place. It'd be fun to see him in Nebraska, but it would give me an excuse to go out to Albany. So that'll be fun. But, man, I love talking to these guys. The relationship that I've developed and made with a lot of these players in the indoor game over the years, it really humbles you in the way that, me here creating my own path as far as, I didn't go to some fancy journalism school. I wasn't a journalism major. I was a guy that was told, hey, you'd be good at this. And I had given it some thought at first, but needed kind of that last push. Gave it a shot, took it serious, put a lot of money and time into this, send a bunch of emails either to get a bunch of no's back or no response at all. But that one yes makes all the difference. It's been that way with sponsorships, opportunities like to go out to Eastern Washington University and cover a football game, cover the indoor league and its, different teams and its championships that I've done over the last few years. So these guys, they're talented. They really are. They are as talented. I'm not going to say that a wide receiver in the IFL is on the same level as Antonio Brown. Okay, but I am saying that they can compete, and if given the chance, they will compete, and they will compete very, very well. But I love these guys to death. I really do. I wish them nothing but the best. But that's the way of the world, man. When Craig talked about politics, he means it. There is a lot of politics in sports. You see it more and more every day, and I hope that one day we can have nice things in the world where people get opportunities finally, because really that's all anyone is ever asking for. Everybody was so willing to give Johnny Manziel like 4 opportunities when there's guys like Craig and so many others that were just looking for their first, and I doubt that they would squander it. Now, does it work out for them? There is no guarantee of that, and I'm not saying that it would. But I guarantee you that Craig the Leg is going to make more field goals than Roberto Aguayo, just because I've seen him do it. I have. The dude is money kicking through uprights half the size of the NFL's from similar distances that these guys do. I'm not going to go ahead and put, all of my life savings on him to make a 63-yard field goal in the wind, in outdoor conditions. But I feel a lot better about having him out there getting the ball snapped to him and coming off his foot than I do a Roberto Aguayo or a Blair Walsh. So Craig the Leg, you the man, all right? You just keep at it. I'm going to keep at it. I love how he said, I haven't missed when it comes to these tweets to teams for when their kickers do miss. So I have a better record than some of these kickers do this season. Thank you, Craig the Leg. All right, we'll be right back. We got more of the Fan Show coming up after this, folks. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fan Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's the Fan Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazzisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It's like that scene in The Simpsons, like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo. Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again. So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right? Yeah. And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com, or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. So we're going to try to end this on a high note. There's a bit of a rant and a few things that I need to get off my chest. We'll do the list of Fan Show tomorrow. We'll add that to our Wednesday schedule just because it'll give us something fun to do. And since I'm not sure who to expect on the show tomorrow or Thursday, obviously it's a little bit of a time filler. So we'll get to the list of the Fan Show tomorrow. One thing that I just got to say that for those of you, which there's not a lot of you, this is more of an exclusive club. But if you're friends with me on Facebook, sometimes I'll give my opinions about certain topics on there and you guys can discuss. But I do it there just because those are my feelings, and that's not meant to be what the Fan Show is. The Fan Show is meant to be lighthearted and fun, cover a variety of topics from, of course, football, sports, WWE, entertainment, music, movies, whatever. Comedians we have on here, we have actors, musical guests. It's been a dream variety show for me to degrees that I never, ever dreamed or expected, and we're just getting started. I promise you that, folks, right now, I do. But one thing that I'm extremely tired of, and it seems to have been the narrative of the 2017 NFL season, is race. The race card is getting constantly pulled anywhere and everywhere, and I'm sick of it. I really am. Now, before any of you jump out of your seat and say that I am an ignorant right-wing conservatist redneck or whatever it is, let me just go ahead and fill in a few blanks here. First of all, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. It does, okay? Racism happens. It's very real. The thing that people fail to see is that we're all guilty of it, okay? I can tell you right now that there's been a moment where after the situation, I felt a little racist because of what happened, okay? I mean, it's one, it's human nature. Two, it's how we've been conditioned and brought up. So we're all guilty of it. It's just to what are we racist about, and to what degree are we racist about it? The problem that I have with this is that people are going so far, especially in the media, to now go with a fine-tooth comb, even though one's not needed, and say how everything that's happening in the world of sports or life can be traced back to racism. There was an article by some hack journalist who I've never heard of before in my life, who writes for New York Daily News. That should be your first indication. I think they do terrible reporting on this subject, and they report on it too much. But he was mentioning how Tyrod Taylor was an example of white privilege in the NFL, and then he used examples like Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh McCown. Last I checked, Josh McCown won the starting job against two other white quarterbacks. Okay, there wasn't a black guy that he got to start instead of because that guy happened to be black. And Ryan Fitzpatrick took over for an injured Jameis Winston. Before that, Jameis Winston, a black quarterback, had gotten the start the past 2 seasons, but then he hurt his shoulder. Enter Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, the Tyrod Taylor situation, I honestly couldn't tell you. Maybe it is racist. Maybe it's not. I really don't know. But the point is that not everything that happens in the world is racist. It's just not. So stop pulling the race card because I'm honestly tired of it. I really am. Geno Smith getting the start today, that became a race thing so quick, I almost couldn't even tweet that he had gotten the start over Eli Manning. Like, that's how quickly it went from Geno Smith to be the starter next week for the New York Giants to Giants are the last team to start an African-American quarterback. Or that Geno is just another example of white oppression in like, are you kidding me right now with this? So the rant that I went on Facebook was very simple. I was brought up that the more that you speak of something, the more power you give to it. Cheesy but easy example is Paranormal Activity movies. It starts off very subtle things, but then the more that they start to pay attention and acknowledge this presence, this being, the more radical it becomes. And for me, this rule applies to everything in life. So yeah, if you think that everything can be traced back to racism, and if you take a point to connect these 24 dots that lead you down your rabbit hole, then yeah, you're enforcing a narrative that is everything is about race, when in fact it's not. You're just making it that way because you found this piece that led to this piece that connected randomly to this piece somehow, and now suddenly it's about that, when it's not. So the more that you talk about something, the more power that you give to it. Once again, I'm not saying it doesn't exist out there and that racism doesn't happen. I'm just saying that not everything in life has to be about race or is a result of racism. So get off your damn high horse, shut up, and just go about your life. Because One of my friends said that their life had been so much better for the week that they stopped watching the news. Now, I don't watch the news. I'm still very much tied and involved in social media. Obviously, I have a show to run. I have a brand to try to grow. So there's a lot of things in my face. There are people that I have unfollowed and or blocked because I didn't want them in my feed at all, including people retweeting them. It's like I have a focus and I have my areas of interest. That's what I want to see in my feed, stuff relevant to that. So a lot of that was obviously political stuff that got blocked or unfollowed. It was nothing personal. It's just that you and I obviously are here for different things. But when you don't watch the news, when you don't acknowledge that these things are things, it makes life so much easier. Like when I go out to the grocery store and there's someone of minority or a different color in the same aisle as me, I don't get all nervous because there's just a person there trying to figure out if they want to go home with Captain Crunch or Frosted Flakes that day, okay? If I watch the news, though, before I go out to the grocery store, now I feel like there's some sort of agenda there because the news has told you that there is, and it's stupid and it's ridiculous. So that's the end of my soapbox. That's the end of my little rant there. That, you know, don't give these people the time of day. Don't. It's pointless. The world is so much bigger than, you know, is this another result of racism? I know that it's been a huge hot button topic all year, but it's only as powerful as you make it. So don't make it as powerful as it shouldn't be, because it honestly shouldn't be. So tomorrow we've got another great show for you. We will do another Butt Fumble Award. Those are always fun. We will add another name to the list of fan show. Thank you, Eric Fish, last week for helping me out with both of those. It was, you know, Thanksgiving, so I wanted to be thankful and give someone else the opportunity to add to that. Maybe because it's the week of my birthday, we'll do that tomorrow for whoever the special guest is. See if, you know, if I don't get a gift, I'll give the gift of letting them add another name to the list of fan show, as well as help me pick the Week 12 Butt Fumble Award winner. Man, we've had some good ones this year. It's sad that the season is quickly winding down, but we've got so much more football to be had. Don't forget hockey, right? Hockey's going on now, NBA, and then, of course, February, once NFL football ends, the indoor football shall begin, and that's the season I'm most excited about. WWE is kind of at that quiet phase right now. I expect more action from SmackDown than I saw from Raw last night, simply because Raw doesn't have a pay-per-view until the Royal Rumble, and that's at the end of January. So they've got 2 months. This is the slowest month for them because we're coming up on, of course, the Christmas season when they do a lot of events like that, but only one pay-per-view, and that's going to be the Clash of Champions. No longer the Night of Champions, Clash of Champions. And last night's Raw was very meh feeling. Roman Reigns started the show. Whatever, he's an Intercontinental Champion. Finn Balor was at the end. Braun Strowman, Kane. It just seems kind of like a jumbled mess right now. Dean Ambrose was on his honeymoon, so congratulations to him and Renee Young. And Sheamus was on a sabbatical of some kind to Ireland. Cesaro, Seth Rollins, match of the night. Definitely two talents being underutilized that could be much, much more. And we won't see or hear from Brock Lesnar until probably the first of the year. That would be my prediction as of right now. So Raw is just kind of treading water, buying time. I doubt this is an opportunity for them to test out new talents. They will try some new storylines. Paige returned. Oop-de-doo. I'm not a Paige fan at all. But that pretty much sums up Raw. SmackDown tonight should be a lot more eventful because they actually do have a pay-per-view to plan for and to build up to. Already been told that AJ Styles versus Jinder Mahal will happen at Clash of Champions. Who will face Baron Corbin for his United States title? I'd like to see Ty Dillinger challenge and it be a last man standing match between those two for Clash of Champions. That's just me, though. Yeah, should be an interesting month for WWE, but the Roundtable was a big success. We talked about that. Survivor Series, of course, is a lot of fun. So it is my birthday week, my birthday, Friday, December 1st. Of course, if you guys would like to send me anything to put up here in the fan cave, by all means, I'd love to get you my information, but most importantly, just listen to the show. Listen, laugh, love, share it with your friends, because at the end, that's what we're trying to do here on the Fan Show. So the ways that you can listen, love, and laugh the show is to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio. The commercial yesterday for iHeartRadio said that only the best of the best podcasts are on there. You're damn right. The Fan Show is one of them. So you can check out iHeartRadio. You can listen to replays of the episode the next day on WBLZ Sports if you download that app. There's an app for iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and WBLZ Sports. You can listen live on thefanshow.com or Spreaker.com, which is where I broadcast you live from. And then, of course, follow me on Twitter at FanShowOfficial. Like me on Facebook, facebook.com/FanShowOfficial. And then follow along the Instagram and the Snapchat. Both are The Fan Show. And your home base for all things football and nonsense is thefanshow.com. I will have an article for you from our fantasy guru. It is playoff push time. If you're not in, you're probably out. Or if you are in, it's about seeding or maybe winning you're in. I've got one game left, and I think a majority of my leagues, including one against Connor Ferguson this week. My friend, challenge accepted. It's the only time that we play each other this year. I was surprised at that, but should be a great game. I'm excited to play him. He is one of my indoor football buddies. But that's going to pretty much do it for tonight's edition of The Fan Show. Thank you, Craig the Leg, and thank you for all those of you that decided to tune in tonight. Tune in same time, same place tomorrow for more of The Fan Show. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Don't forget to go and check out The Fan Show merch store, teespring.com/The Fan Show. This is the last week that your purchase will have 25% go to Wounded Warrior. December, we'll have a whole new charity and promotion for you. So I thank those of you that have placed orders for a hoodie or a t-shirt. I really appreciate it. All goes to help fund Fan Show Tour 2018, which should be bigger and better. So until next time, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners! And remember, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love The Fan Show.